Hello and welcome to another episode of Existence. This is the podcast where we are exploring the question, what does it mean to exist and pursue a life well lived with a contemplation of love, death, meaning, and philosophy. Today's episode is with Viktoria. She is a host of the podcast Worlds Collide, and I was on her show, and I'm super stoked she was able to get on mine. She's a German expat living in the U.S. in Austin, Texas, and it was super great to connect with her and talk about a lot of things. I filmed this one at a park, and so I think the aesthetic came out pretty well. So with that, hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, cool. Well, Viktoria, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, well, we met because you were on Reddit and you messaged the podcast exchange subreddit looking for people to do a podcast on.
Yes.
So I was on your show, Worlds Collide, and so your podcast is about travelers and like expats and their experiences, the good, the bad, and everything else.
Yeah, correct.
That's really cool. So I'm really glad we connected because now you're doing mine. And
Exactly.
we're able to do this.
Exactly.
Rely on some other podcasters to get to get to build a community out here.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. How has it been for you? How's your journey been podcasting?
I mean, I'm still very new to this. Tomorrow will be my 11th episode out.
Nice.
And I have, I think in total 16 recorded.
Okay.
So it's like a big learning process.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest struggle for me is finding guests all the time. Because like once let's say I only have like 3 guests or like 3 recordings saved up, I'm kind of getting nervous. Like, oh my God, I need more people, like, because in 3 weeks I don't have any more input for my podcast.
Yeah.
But
no, I totally get that because I'm kind of in the same boat here sometimes too. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad I can help you out today.
No, yeah, I appreciate. Have you had a lot of success with the podcast exchange subreddit? Has it been good for you? Have you
I
messaged
only
more
used that
people on
once, and yes, people respond to that. And I also posted something on the other subreddit. It's the expat subreddit.
Okay,
where like people respond, but then they don't really follow up. So once I like reach out to them and give them my contact information, usually that's the dead end. I have like 1 or 2, but this is still not 100% confirmed. So
well, that's great because I mean that's been a lot of I guess making it to 16 episodes. That's a big challenge. I mean that's so you should be proud of yourself. For that. That's really good.
what my challenge is for the next 2 weeks, because we're going on vacation. And I still have not figured out if I want to like deal with the editing and everything when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
And so, and then also like I would probably have enough recording until we're coming back. But, what did I want to say? I don't know if I want to take the time to look actively for guests while I'm on vacation, and then once we're back, my son's daycare is not opening for another month, so I don't really have time to record. So that's like kind of my struggle. I have like this week and next week to find another 4 guests, make another 4 interviews until hopefully the beginning of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually what I've heard. I don't know if you could probably do that now because like it's not. I guess like more established podcasts always like I've heard like to, like re-put like your old episodes in your
I know
as like a new one. But it seemed like it might be a little too early for that.
I know. It's like Ira Glass does that all the time with This American Life. Here's episode from 25 years ago.
Yeah, I know, literally.
Like, yeah, that's cool, but sure, it doesn't work if you only have like 10 episodes out, right?
Exactly. I've been podcasting since 1990, and you're like, oh God, I'm not there yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. We can't compare ourselves to Ira Glass. It's not
Yeah,
fair.
no.
I remember listening to This American Life in middle school, and I was like, oh, this is great. Oh, man, such a good podcast. I don't listen to it much anymore, but I should. I should go back to
I
it.
give it a listen like every now and then, probably like once a month. But only if it's like a new episode, because I feel like I listened to all of them already, So if it's like a repeat one, then I'm like,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, totally.
But
cool.
There's this one show on Hulu. It's called Abbott Elementary.
I've seen it. Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah. So have you seen the Ira Glass reference?
Oh no, I haven't.
And so it was like, so they did like one episode when it was about podcasting, right? They did the kids did like have like a school podcast, and then like the white teacher, I forgot his name, but he's like, Ira Glass, the Podfather.
That's funny.
Yeah, I
should watch that episode. It is a good show. It is a good show. I really like it. Cool. Well, this show. So this show's about what does it mean to exist and pursue a life well lived through contemplation of love, death, philosophy, relationships, connections, that sort of thing. And so, for me, I feel like I always explain myself before I go into like a conversation, just to kind of get a little bit of grounding for myself and for whoever I'm talking to. So, I mean, just through my own journey, I've discovered like how important conversation was for me to kind of discuss some of the more, I guess, more introspective parts of life, and the ones that we're all thinking about and we're all contemplating and we're all looking around at everyone else like, hey, like we're all going through this crazy thing together, And so for me, it's been such a profound experience just to talk to people and to kind of understand where other people are coming from.
Yeah.
To help shape my own life and my own direction.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's part of why I started this show, is to kind of give myself more of an excuse to talk to people. I mean, it's a major reason why I started it. And, as well as for like the creative side of it as well. But so, I mean, to us talking today, I would really like to kind of dive into your ideas in your mind about how you kind of view what existence looks like for yourself, and how relationships and connection and love and the ideas of non-existence and spirituality kind of relate to your experience moving through the rest of your life, and how it shaped you up until this point. So I know it's a lot of like big questions that are unanswerable, and so many things that have these very personal, it can be an immensely personal thing for a lot of people to discuss, because inherently it is, And so I'm just really interested in what you have to say, and I think it's going to be a good conversation. So I mean, I kind of want to start off with your ideas of spirituality. Do you consider yourself a spiritual person, a religious person? Did you grow up religious, or is it something you kind of put to the back of your life, or how has that kind of shaped you?
Not at all. I'm not religious.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, my mother was Catholic and my dad was a Protestant. So I have to say I'm from Germany. So it's like Catholic and Protestant. It's not like all the different sub-religions that there are like in America. So I was baptized and I got my confirmation and everything, but I go to church once every 5 years, if it's like for a funeral or if it's for a wedding or another baptism, something like that. But I don't go to church, and I don't believe in God. And I mean, I also it's totally cool with me if you believe in God, if you go to church, that's fine, but that's your decision, and you also have to what's the word? You have to be okay with my decision not to be religious.
Yeah, for sure.
I think everybody can choose for themselves, because I don't know. I just want to throw this in, because I have I have like 2 kids, and one is in kindergarten. And so I live in Texas. I'm in Austin, but I'm just a little bit outside of Austin. And so Austin is like super cool and liberal, but Texas is still very like religious, right? The South in America is very Protestant and Christian. And when we moved here, I did not really expect that. I was not thinking about it. Also, I was not thinking about, hey, I could ever like end up in a suburb in Texas, right? So, so when my kid goes to kindergarten now, and all the moms there are so religious, and they're so into church. You know, like if I go to pick up, and I hear their conversations, it's always like church, church, church. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But for me, there is more than church. I mean, I like that idea of community, but I don't have to have that Jesus thing in my life, right? I mean, I really appreciate that you have like people that help you out with everything, that you can go there and do things together, you know, that community thing. And then, but then in my daughter's backpack, I find flyers. Hey, come to Bible school. Do you want to learn about Jesus? And I'm like, hey, sorry, no, you cannot interfere in my upbringing, my child, you know, because like we're not a religious household. We don't talk about like Bible and God and Jesus. And so, and now you're like confronting me with all these questions my kid has that I was not prepared for. And also, I feel like people are missionarying the little children into whatever, finding other kids to go to church, you know, and I think that's not okay. Because it should be the parents' decision, not whatever other churchgoers. Hey, drag your other school friends into our church.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Especially like here are so many different churches that are not open to everything, you know? Like, for example, the church that in that case that happened to was the flyer in the backpack was like a Baptist church, and they're not okay with, for example, with homosexuality. And that is like totally cool with me, right? And so so my child is like, or the other child is like, oh no, girls cannot marry girls and boys cannot marry boys, you know? So I'm like, no, we don't need to go to that church. So I don't know. Yeah, we're not religious, and it's cool if you are, but then also respect that I am not. So
yeah, totally. So I mean, the idea of like religion and spirituality, I feel like they're two different things. I think for a lot of people, like spirituality is much more a broader term for anything that is I don't know, can be considered spiritual, which is a lot of things. I mean, all of existence could be you know, is this idea of like spirituality, and I think religion can be a part of that if you so choose and you so believe that sort of thing. But for a lot of people, it's not. And so, are you someone who considers yourself more of a spiritual person at all, aside from religion, or do you just like is there a way? How do you think about, I guess, the idea of like grounding yourself in something? Is there something you ground yourself in spiritually, or is it not something you consider that spiritual?
No, not. I mean, spiritually, I mean, all no.
Yeah.
Not really. No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I have an interest in it, and I find it fascinating, and I am also like very curious about like all these spiritual places people go to. You know, it's not for example like the religious meccas, but more like where they find like natural vortex or something. You know, that is for me more interesting, and I don't know, like I would rather choose to believe that than like in church, religious kind of spiritual thing.
Yeah. I do get that. I for myself, especially I gravitated away from the religious side of things and more towards the spiritual side of things. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I find, many people are much more comfortable with considering themselves spiritual than religious because of the connotations, especially. I mean, I don't know what it's like to have kids, but especially it's something if you're trying to safeguard them from that sort of those sort of religious ideologies, it can be pretty difficult, I'm sure, and especially when you have people, I don't know, putting flyers in your kids' backpacks. So, no, it's definitely something. So, what do you when you consider the concept of death or like non-existence and what happens like afterwards, or if there is anything afterwards at all, what kind of concepts do you I lay down in that sort of way? Like, how do you think about it?
I mean, honestly, it's probably depends on my daily mental being, because like sometimes I just say like, oh yeah, if I go back to Earth after I die, I want to be a squirrel. Like you're reborn into something else than a human.
Why not?
Yeah, why not a squirrel? Because I'm like, hey, jumping from tree to tree and find nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't know, like that that everything comes to an end. I feel like sometimes that's hard to believe, but then I'm also not convinced that I will like come again to Earth as a human being. And I sometimes think I'm really privileged that I was born into to be a human in the middle class in Germany, So I mean, like sometimes I think like, oh my God, my life would be so different if I would be like somewhere in a starving country in Africa somewhere, or like somewhere in somewhere in a war zone, something, So already just the way I was born, I was very lucky.
Totally. That's one of the things that, in my opinion, is one of the most grounding things for me when I think about just where everyone just happens to end up when they were born, by no fault of their own, by no fault of anything.
No.
You're just born where you're born with the family that you were born into, or lack of family, and you're just there, and you just with the health conditions and the mental stability or instability, you know what I mean? And it's like it's like you just appear and then you just appear and then you figure it out from there, but not everyone appears on the same starting line. And and you're right, it's something that is immensely I think just humbling to think about, where I was just so lucky, like you said, like just to be born in a place in a first world country, in an area of the world where you just are,
And also, like, you have to be really lucky in what kind of family you were born into, right? I mean, if you're not born into a stable family, or or you don't end up like healthy or break.
Or no, you're good. Yeah,
it's loud.
Motorcycles are passing by.
Motorcycles. I thought it was a train.
No, it's like it's a whole gang of motorcycles. I can't be upset because I also am fond of motorcycles.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's like, I think they're passing right now. That's so, you get consequences of a park.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm also considered lucky because I'm healthy. I'm mentally healthy. I don't have any physical issues. So I mean, you never know. And so already just that I'm from Western Europe in a mentally stable home, and and I don't know, economy wise, it was always, I was not like I wasn't starving or anything, so that was lucky.
So Yeah, definitely. When you consider those sort of happenstance I guess when you consider the happenstances, I don't know if that's a word, you're born into, like, by no fault of your own, like what is it that you think is the best way to kind of realize that, while at the same time trying to offer something to others because of the sort of the privilege that people are born into
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you know what I mean? How do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that?
I mean, if you can help out, then that's great. I mean, and if you choose that this is that this is what you want to do, help out like other less privileged people. I mean, that's really admirable,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah. What is there anything specific for you, like that speaks to you? Because I think in terms of like giving back, it kind of means it means a
Mm-hmm.
lot it means different things to a lot of people. Some people it's volunteering their time at a
Right. I did
I don't
that.
know,
I did that a
shelter or
little
something.
bit. Because at the
Yeah.
moment I don't have a work permit, so I'm allowed to
Oh.
volunteering, and I just because we're waiting for the visa at the moment. So
Yeah.
for a while I was driving seniors to their doctor's appointment. So I just
Mm.
like volunteered and signed up when I had time. And then I picked
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
up at
Yeah.
home, and then I drove them to their doctor's appointment and drove them back home. Because I mean,
Oh,
it
nice.
probably depends what your options are. I mean, I could have like joined a voluntary position at a hospice. They're always looking, but I was also
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe that's a little bit too much. I don't know. What didn't I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
feel I didn't feel that I wanted to be confronted with death the whole time.
Mm.
Or like, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I have no experience how it really is in a hospice, but I was just imagining a lot of sad people, like lots of crying relatives. And I don't know, I just
Yeah.
imagine it to be really hard. Like later, I learned that was when the news came out that the former president is gonna stay at home and start hospice care from home. You remember that was like a
Oh,
few months ago?
who? I haven't been paying enough
Ah,
attention to American politics in Hungary,
I
but
I don't I don't remember, but I feel I should know.
no,
Um,
you're
is
good.
it
You're good.
is it I don't know, Jimmy Carter maybe?
Oh, maybe, yeah, that makes sense. He's pretty up there in senescence. Yeah, no, I totally I think I should look into that, but I understand, like, that it's probably Jimmy Carter. But I mean, yeah, I would say that's something extremely heavy to deal with. I know I have a friend who did chaplain work. She was a chaplain
Mm-hmm.
at a hospital, taking
Okay.
care of the last moments of people's lives
Yeah.
in a hospital. And
Yeah.
she, from what she told me, she really connected with it, and she really liked to do it. And obviously it was incredibly deep,
Yeah.
and hard.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that's like. But at the same time, there's bells going off. At the same time, that's something that I feel like can be immensely rewarding in a lot of ways, to kind of really connect you and ground you on a daily basis with just how impermanent life can be, and how transitory the nature of everything we're experiencing is. And so I think it's honestly something that I've been thinking about, is trying to connect with more people within, like, hospice community, like a hospice care or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be really interesting to maybe, like, interview some people there, or maybe even volunteer there. It would be something that I would be interested in. I don't know how long I could do it, but I think just the interest of it is it might be pretty rewarding.
I mean, here it's also where you can just like help them send cards or pick out, invitation cards for their, I don't know, like funeral, I want to say.
Yeah.
So, I
Mhm.
I think it can be as intense as you want. And I don't know if you work
Mhm.
directly with the dying patient as a volunteer, but you probably just help
Yeah.
out with administrative work.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
even, right?
You
I
know what?
mean,
Yeah. You know what's interesting is like I think I've been thinking a lot about like why we think death is so somber. You know, like we're always thinking like death in like this hush hush, like oh my god, like super sad, super. I mean, and it is for the living. It's a sad thing to
yeah.
not be with the person anymore. You know what I mean? And it's understandable,
Mm-hmm.
and I totally understand. And I feel sad when I contemplate death or when I contemplate my relatives dying, my loved ones passing away. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Of course, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a traumatic thing. It can be, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily. I don't think it has to be, and I think there's almost a beauty to death because it's like going. It's just the next step. You know what I mean? It's like this just natural next inevitable step that everyone takes at some point, and everything takes at some
Exactly.
point. You know, even just
Yeah.
flowers on the ground that you bought, a few days ago, like or you picked up a few days ago, like whatever. And so it grows, it lives, and then eventually
It
it passes
dies. Yeah.
away, and it goes on to something else. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to mean this sad event. It could honestly be this beautiful just passing on to the next step of whatever
Yeah.
whatever existence is, and whatever it is just wasn't meant to be like this as anymore, and whatever the next thing is what it's meant to be. You know what I mean?
But I mean, it also depends on the culture, right? Because not every culture
Mm-hmm.
sees the funeral as a bad thing, right? Not, or like a sad thing. Like
Yeah.
some other cultures, they celebrate. You know, they have a big party, and it's maybe they consider it
Yeah.
as a happy new start.
Yeah. 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 There's like the celebration of life sort of thing. I know so I had a friend, my best friend, his family was dealing with is still dealing with the passing of their 3-year-old. He had a 3-year-old nephew who passed away just
Oh my god.
randomly.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh my
and it's
god.
absolutely incredibly sad,
Oh.
obviously. And so yeah, no, I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't imagine what that's
Mm-mm.
like.
I don't want to
And so
imagine. No.
yeah, and they had the funeral. They had they especially in the first few days, like I don't even want to think about what it was like. And then eventually they had the celebration of life, and
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that's an important part because it's like they were here, and we have the memory, we have the opportunity to always remember what it was like to have them here, to have the child,
Mm-hmm.
a child here to bringing us joy, bringing us happiness, bringing us adventure, excitement, and all these things. And it was better to have them here for a short amount of time than not at all. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think it's really important, and I think it's a beautiful thing to think about it like that. And it's not all just somber. And so I think when I reflect on my own life, when I reflect on like what I think it would be like when I die, or if I have the opportunity to like know I'm gonna die soon, like what is that gonna be like? And I think I'm working hard right now in my life to try, because I don't know when it's gonna happen, and nobody does. I'm gonna, I could walk out the street tonight and get hit by a car or something. But I'm working hard right now to kind of figure this out, because at least not figure it out, but to come to some sort of terms with it in order to live more of a fulfilling life and not see it as such a heavy thing that has to weigh myself down and other people down in the way that I think I've thought about it before. But yeah, I mean, it is, it's not without its difficulties, for sure. I mean, having something that was there and is not there anymore that you loved,
I mean,
it's not easy.
sometimes I think like, oh my god, I hope I'm not gonna die, but like I hope I don't have an accident or something. But lately, when I'm in the car, I'm like thinking that all the time. It's like I hope no accident, because there's so many crazy drivers out there. And I mean,
Yeah.
the reason is like I don't care if I die for my reasons, right? Then I'm fine. I had a good life. I saw a lot of cool things on this planet. But I'm always thinking like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like my children will be
That's
marked
that.
for life, and like I cannot have two little children growing up without a mother. because I'm like, how is this?
Oh,
like,
no.
if you have like 2 kids and then all of a sudden, like, whatever, when you're 6 years old or 2 years old, you don't even remember your mother anymore. So I imagine that must be really, really hard. So, like,
of course.
the only reason why I'm worried of dying is just because I want my children to have like a happy childhood where they're not like, are like missing their parents,
Yeah, totally. Very understandable. I mean, I could not imagine growing up without, missing a parent like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I my best friend as well. His father died when he was 8, I believe, and obviously incredibly traumatic experience,
Yeah.
and it's totally justified. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a parent, and I think about like you as like a mother, the selflessness of that is like myself is that's one thing, but my children and what they have to deal with, the trauma that they're going to have to perceive,
That's like,
and to deal with the rest of their life. So it's unimaginable.
That's like when you're like, your children drag you to the brink and you think like, oh, it'd be so much easier to just jump off the cliff, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, but then they have to deal with that trauma, so like, you cannot do that either.
Yeah, exactly. It's you got to think about the kids, think about the children.
You think about the consequences all the time. I mean, when my dad passed away, I was already in my 30s, and I don't know, and I mean, that was also, he was sick for a while, so we knew it was coming, but I mean, it's like hard, but then when he died, it was like, finally he made it, because you didn't want to see him struggle with his illness anymore, so it was like happy and sad at the same time, because like happy, it was just like, okay, so because he was really suffering, he was not enjoying living, so, and then sad, of course, because he left you, but I mean, like, and then we have the saying, hat's geschafft. It's like he made it. So, like, oh, it's like the final target. He went through the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it's an interesting way to think about. I mean, I would say, what has been your experience? Like, what has been your first encounter with death? Like, something that really affected you?
Honestly, honestly, I was very lucky that I didn't encounter many deaths. I mean, sure, my grandparents died, but I was little, So when my grandmother died, I think I was 5, or not even. And then my grandfather, he died when I was 9. So I was always very, very little. So I could always like distance myself from it, kind of. And I never had friends that died, So I'm always like, I don't know people personally that died young. So I hope I will not be that person.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I think that's the root of all of this is the unknown. It's like I think that's like the root of a lot of anxiety and pressure around it is just the fact that it could literally happen anytime, and we are all just under its influence of like it's just not here yet, but it could be, and we have no idea. You know what I mean? And I hear stories about people who are like perfectly healthy. I was listening to a podcast today, and it was like perfectly. I don't know if you know like Simone Getz, or she was on the Lex Friedman podcast, and she's like a YouTuber, like a robotics YouTuber, and she had brain cancer.
Oh wow!
And she was like on the podcast. She was explaining like she was just perfectly healthy. She didn't even have a headache, and then all of a sudden, like one day, she like her eyes started swelling, and then apparently this tumor had been growing in her brain since she was a teenager, and she had no idea.
Oh my God.
And so,
Crazy,
and obviously
right?
it took like a 2 year. Yeah, it's insane. But like she had like a 2-year journey of, trying to remove the cancer, and so it's crazy. It's like you have no idea, and then people are walking out the street and get run over, or you lived here at
Exactly.
95, 100, 110. Like who knows?
Yeah,
And you're just
exactly.
here, and it's crazy because for me that's one of the most motivating things. I take death, and I think this is why I gravitate towards it so much, and why I enjoy talking about it and discussing it with other people and seeing what their perspectives are on it. Because for me, it's the most motivating thing in the world, because like the time I have now, it's so precious. The time everybody has and everyone's dealing with is it's all we have is this precious time. And if we can do something with that while we have it, then exactly. How is that? How have you thought about that? And then in the terms of like the way you don't want to take life for granted.
I mean, the thing is like just being stressed on your day-to-day basis, it's like you're stressed for whatever your family reasons, whatever your partner is stressing you out so much, or your children are stressing you out so much, and you're just sometimes being frustrated and everything, so it's so like in those moments you definitely like you don't like see the preciousness in those things, you're just like, okay, this is so frustrating. I mean, sure, it's part of life, but I mean, but then also if you think about death the whole time, then that's it. That's like, I mean, you shouldn't do that either. This is not healthy for your well-being, I think. Especially like if you think like, oh, I could die any minute. Sure, yeah, you can. I mean, I could just like whatever fall down the stairs or something, right, and break my neck. But I don't want to think about it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would be like I'm already a worrier. And I always think like, oh my God, what if happens this, or what if this happens, So I think like being a worrier is already not the most healthy way of going through the day. And if you do it that way, then you're not cherishing the time.
Yeah, totally. The time that is slowly ticking down. The clock is always ticking. We have no idea where it ends, and so that I believe really gets at the point of what do we do at that time? It's like, are we gonna worry about, like you said, like the small things? Like, am I gonna worry that this person, like, I don't know, was rude to me at the grocery store? Is that gonna like really ruin my day?
Ruin your day.
It's like there's so many small things, like I'm realizing more and more all the time. It's like the smallest things that like there's really no reason for it to get to us, yet there's something in the back of your mind like, oh, like I could let that get back to me, and I'm really trying to not let it, I try to work on it every day to not let those small things get to me, because if we're gonna act like that, if we're gonna make like all the small things such huge things, and it takes away from your actual present moment.
God,
it takes away from the life you're actually living.
You're so angry all the time.
And no, but people, what's that?
Oh, I mean, just I don't know. So like I'm thinking my husband, he's like that. Like, it's like, oh, this cup is here. Oh, you have to make the sandwich on the other side of the counter. Like all the things. It's like, come on, like get over it. There are other things you can get mad about, but not if there's like a breadcrumb somewhere on the table or on the wrong side.
Yeah. I mean, I get. I mean, everyone has their quirks, Everyone has their quirks.
Yeah,
for
everyone
sure.
has their quirks.
There are things
for
that
sure.
there are things that should not annoy me, and I'm like, I just can't. I cannot think
You
unless
can't
this
help
is
it,
fixed.
right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
sure, that's a
You know what I mean?
character. That's part of
Yeah,
you. I
exactly.
mean, I'm also I feel like now I'm also a very stressed person, but
mm,
10 years ago I was like completely opposite. I'm like, oh yeah, it's okay. We're like 10 minutes late. Oh, we'll make it
mm.
on time, you know. Come on, take a chill pill. It's cool.
Yeah,
We don't have to hustle right now, you know, but like now I'm like
yeah.
stressed all the time. It's just in me. I don't know.
Mm,
I think I need to like do something about it.
yeah.
Probably will get like high blood
But
pressure.
you became. How old are your children though? How old's your oldest child?
My oldest is 6 and my youngest and I have
6. Okay,
the
so
other one is 2. So I
so you
had
within
my
the last
first
10 years you became a mom.
yeah, so I had my first one when I was 34.
Oh,
So
okay.
uh-huh. So
That makes you stressed though. I mean, that's my point. Is the becoming a mom
mhm.
makes you it makes you
Yeah,
stressed.
but I don't know
Not
if
your
it's
fault
like the
though. It's a good. It's
responsibility. I don't think it's like the
mm,
responsibility. It's because they just want something from you all the time, and you know they
mm,
expect you to like pay attention, and I don't know, you have to do everything at the same time, and they're like two people who like want something from you at the same time. They talk over each other, and then
yeah,
if your husband comes home, there's the third one that talks over them, you know. So
yeah,
you have to listen to like 3 voices. I
yeah.
think that's challenging.
Oh, more than challenging, I'm sure. I think I don't know what it's like to be a mom, but I talk to my mom, and I think she's always like I mean, she's obviously like my mom is amazing, and she, as your kids grow up, I'm sure you can start to realize you'll just start forgetting about all the because she's always like, oh my god, when you guys were children, you're so cute and whatever, and then it's like
Ah.
you forgot all the shit that we did when we were like 12.
Oh my
That was just
god.
the most annoying thing ever. So I'm sure it
Yeah,
always
I'm
is
sure.
worth it. But now all our kids are out of the house. I'm the youngest. And I'm 26,
How
so
old
it's like
how many siblings do you have?
I have 3. My sister's 30, my brother's 28, and I'm 20 or 27, 28, and I'm 26. So,
Uh-huh.
so we're all out of the house, but so she's long forgotten about all the shit we put up. She had to put up with,
Yeah, but
and now she's just like, oh, I wish you were a baby again.
I think that's the plan of Mother Nature because they I think you're supposed to forget because otherwise you would not want other people to have children. Or like
Yeah,
even like I think also you forget about the pregnancy because otherwise you say like, hey, I'm not gonna go through another birth because it's horrible. It's no fun. Pregnancy
yeah,
sucks. At least for me, it did.
yeah.
You know, so I think Mother Nature has a way of putting more humans out there.
That's
Because
interesting.
if you would not forget about all these annoying, frustrating things, there wouldn't be as many people on the planet, probably.
Oh yeah. No, that's I think that's such a good point. There's this way of forgetting about things, and it's not just being a mom. It's like so many things that you just forget, and you're like, I could probably do that again, even though you realize like, because it might be good for you, but you just don't want to. You forgot about the trauma that it actually
Yeah.
caused,
Yeah.
in order for you to actually go do it again. I mean, it's true. I think that's an interesting point, really. It's kind of like the way that mother nature, evolution, whatever, like takes care of you, like takes care of like the mental side of things where you're just like forget about that, you can do it again because you
Yeah.
just forgot how bad
Yeah.
it was in the moment.
Yeah. Um because I think a lot of people, they always have that um that picture in their head like, oh yeah, little children are so cute, it must be so
Mm,
nice to just whatever change a diaper here and there, and sure it's crying, then you like take it and then you shake
yeah.
it, you know, like whatever, like carry it through the air. But oh my god, seriously, like that's not how it is. And
Yeah.
And it's like also funny, like sometimes you go to the supermarket with your child and then they say like, oh, such a nice age. They're so precious. You should enjoy it. And you're just in that moment where like, oh my God, like, like you have no idea. This is so hard. I'm so frustrated. Like, seriously, this is not like something that I enjoy all the time. And then people like come to you and make those comments. And then they say like, oh yeah, well, my children are so old now. So I'm always like, I cannot be the only one that's having a hard time. Like I'm sure you had a hard time too, or you had a babysitter and never saw your children. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, why? It's probably not that they didn't have a hard time. They've just grown. Like you said, like they've just gone on. Enough time has passed where they just forgot about it, and then you just like you realize like, oh, like you don't realize how like, yeah, of course there's struggles. Of course there's issues, and taking care of children is incredibly hard, a full-time job. So it's like, yeah, but there's all of that, but then there's also the good side, and it makes it worth it. My point being, I hope it's not, it'll probably be maybe 20 years before you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I missed those times.
Exactly.
And then you'll look at somebody else's babies and you're like, oh yeah, what a good time that was.
Exactly.
And you just forgot
it
all
will
the
be
bad
like
things.
that. It will be like that. And then I will have forgotten all the bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like
even
now, I mean, it's not all bad for sure. They're very cute and I love them, but I mean, but they give me a hard time sometimes, and also like my children are not well behaved, and also they are very loud, so that makes it a little bit harder. And it really depends on the child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I mean, look, I was not a well-behaved, quiet child, so there is hope because I did grow out of it. I did grow.
Yeah.
I like to think so, at least. How many? How? You have 2 kids? Do you have any? You plan on having any more?
No, I'm not having any more. No. Hell no. I'm done. I'm done.
That's like good. That's good.
I'm like, I'm like happy when they both go to school, and then I can like focus on myself more again. And also I did not like the part of being pregnant.
I'm sure it's incredibly difficult to grow a human being inside you.
I mean, it depends. Like some people really enjoy it, but I was really miserable. I was like feeling sick the whole time, and then for my second one, we were here in Texas, and I was not used to the heat, and then you have the hormones, and then it's like 100 degrees outside, and then it's like you're just like hot all the time. I don't know. It's I don't know. It's just miserable.
And it's 9 months, and you're like, oh God, 9 long months here.
And then when you don't feel like physically, you don't feel like bad anymore, but then you're just a giant, You're like, oh my God, I cannot move. I'm a balloon. I cannot sit. I cannot stand. I cannot lay on my belly. I don't know. It's not. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean I could not. I want. It's what's funny is I am just so immensely grateful that the body I was born into cannot physically produce a child. So like even if I want kids down the road, it's just I'm not the one who's gonna do it, like carry the child, which is it's like such
because you're a man. I thought you cannot have whatever some reason.
Oh no!
Okay.
I haven't tested it out, but I haven't. I don't know. I hope I could have kids at some point. I mean, at least physically, but I mean, carry a child. Is not is probably not the. I mean, so what I'm saying is like, carrying a child. I cannot physically carry a child. So if I wanted kids down the road, it's not my part. I'm not the one birthing a consciousness like that. It's just like seems so difficult.
And then even when they are born, like, okay, so my husband, he wanted to be very present, but they always ask for their mother, so it's always me they want. So, I mean, it's like frustrating for him because, like, on the one side, like, he doesn't feel needed in the same way. And then he wants to help, but they don't let him. And then for me, it's like, oh my God, I want some quiet time. I want some me time. And it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know? So, but then on the other side, it's like, oh, it's really nice that they want you. But then it's also like, hey, I would love to have some me time sometimes, because that's not happening much. I mean, now because they're both in daycare or at school, but
what does it look like for you to kind of get that time? Like, what does it look like for you when you like when you want that time for yourself? Like the I'm sure the few moments you can get it. What is it that you prioritize that you kind of want to? I don't. How do you ground yourself?
I mean,
being a mom.
Yeah, I just want to do something that I like. I mean, so for example, I like doing my podcast. That's what I do in my free time. So
nice.
And then still, like, I have some obligations that is like whatever. Sometimes it's cleaning that I just drag, or like some housework, or you have to go shopping and all these things. But I mean, I whatever, like I squeeze in some time just for myself. So for example, not right now, but I went running for a long time, so I did like long distance runs, or like now I do the podcast, or I did whatever, some projects, or sometimes I just go see a friend.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm sure it's one of the most difficult things to like maintain your I guess your relationships with the other friends, especially
that changes a lot too, because I mean, also one change was because we moved from California to Texas, and so previously in my life without children, I had like lots of friends that didn't have kids, and also still like how many of them don't have kids, but like now I have here, all the friends I know here are just other families. It's just how it is. And then I mean, sometimes I just hang out with another mom, or sometimes we just have a big play date.
Yeah, the play dates. You can hang out with the mom while your kids are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
sure,
so like
having
having children totally also changes your social dynamics, because like you don't have the time available anymore that your friends without kids have. For example, like, hey, your kids need to go to bed, and then whatever, you don't have time to go out all the time. I'm not the master of my own schedule anymore.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, is like that's what I think that's the main thing. Well, a lot of people like don't want to have kids because they know that it's just not their life anymore. It's taking care of children.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I'm also want to say that it's just like one phase of your life. This is not forever. This is just for now. I mean, for now, even like now, I can go out again. It's fine if my children are home with my husband, and I can go somewhere else. So I can go on trips. So I went on a big hiking trip, or I went for a weekend. I went to see my friends in Denver for like a long weekend by myself. So there are things you can still do, and other people even do it when their kids are smaller. But it's helpful if you have like more family around that can help. So for our case, it's like we're just ourselves. We don't have family here that can help out.
Yeah. No, totally, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not forever. It's not forever. Nothing is, right?
It's just like at this time in my life, I have to be there for my children. And I mean, for example, like my upbringing was completely different. My parents never had time for me. They were working the whole time. We had a like a inn or bed and breakfast and a restaurant. So they were always working, especially on weekends. I was always at my aunt's and my cousin's house on weekends because my parents didn't have time. And when it was during the week and bedtime and it was busy, my mother put me asleep in the kitchen. She put me under the shelf, put a blanket over it, and I fell asleep with the pots and pans banging and the fryer,
Yeah.
So so they didn't have any time for me. So I also think like, hey, for my kids, it's really nice that I'm around more.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, your kids will appreciate that when they get older. My mom, I quit. Luckily, my dad was able to make enough. He was a LA City fireman, and so he was able to make enough with his job where my mom was able to leave her job in order to just take care of the kids. So she was a stay-at-home mom. Basically, when I forgot when either my brother or I was born, and like I always give her shit like, hey, we could have had so much more money if you would have worked your other job, but growing up. But she was like, no, I just wanted to take care of like the kids. That was the most important thing. You know what I mean?
And it's also, that is a lot of work, It is. It's not just like a walk in the park, It's stressful and time consuming, and there are a lot of chores come with it.
Yeah.
And
No.
and then also like I don't want to. I would love to have like a part-time job, do something for whatever 3 days a week or just like half a day or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's also but then it's also like, if you just whatever do it for the money, then it's such a big struggle. I'm also lucky in that position that my husband can take care of us right now, but like if I would depend on the money, that would be so stressful, so I don't.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No,
like
totally.
for moms who are like working full-time or part-time and then still have to raise the children, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, if you have like a nice career and you can afford a babysitter and all this, sure, that's nice, but there are also other people that really have to struggle with that.
Totally. I don't want to imagine what it's like to be like even like a single mom taking care of their 3 kids, like working 3 jobs.
Especially in America, or if you don't have like family around you that supports you.
Oh yeah. That's the only reason my family, like my mom's side of the family, has a ton of kids, and I think the only reason it works is because of how like close knit my family is on that side, and like my grandma takes care of my aunts, like they all like all my cousins and family on that side, like they all are taking care of each other, and like it's such a blessing in that way, but also at the same time like also really stressful because that's a lot of things. There's a lot of kids and responsibility to put on a family and to take care of other people.
I mean,
while they have to work.
That was also the case for me when I was little. I mean, my parents were never around, so I was at my aunt, and she and my other aunt, they always like whatever provided for me, and they took care of me, and they did things, and we were playing. I was playing with my cousins, and I'm still close to my cousins, so that is great. But I mean, so I was lucky that they had a place where they could put me, because I don't know, probably I would just whatever. It would have been like a 6-year-old dishwasher or something like that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense though. I mean, I wouldn't. It's you got to do what you got to do. I feel like that's like that's just like the realities of life, and especially as a parent, it's like you just got to do whatever it takes to make it work.
Exactly. And it's funny because TV or media always put such a different perspective in front of you. You see like, oh, these people, or even the people on Instagram, they have such a great life. Look at this. Look at the pictures they're posting, or whatever, that TV show. She's working as a cook and she's living in a nice apartment in Manhattan. you know? So it's like always these unrealistic things we expect from our lives. And like media makes it so much harder to appreciate the ones that we have. And also, I don't know, I think it makes us want different things, unrealistic things. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. No, totally. I definitely know what you mean. This is actually a good point to bring up because I have this love-hate relationship with media where it's like um there's so many downsides to social media and the influence like TV and movies can have on you and especially like I don't know the way like culture's moving now in terms of a lot of like Instagram, Facebook, like Meta or whatever, like TikTok, like short form video, and we're all just being bombarded with all of these things like YouTube's just telling you what to watch, and then you don't have any time to think for yourself. And it's something like my partner and I discuss a lot. Is like the idea like we're just getting fed. I mean, this is a known thing, but obviously like it's good to be most aware of it as you possibly can be. But we're just getting fed so many things through not even our own choice. It's like the algorithm's choosing things for us to watch. Even if we like barely go on, like it's just a curated thing for us to watch the things that we're gonna like, and it makes us think certain ways about certain people and certain ideas, and it's so hard to divorce yourself from that unless you like really cut some things off. But at the same time, I'm like also like really trying to. Also have gained so much from certain things like podcasts and get a lot of like information and knowledge that yeah, because I mean I think because it's been so great for me to like listen to certain people talk and certain people discuss ideas in an open way like that, and that's why I've like gravitated towards podcasts, because I think there's so much value in it. There can be a lot of value in it. This motorcycles are back.
They're coming back.
But at the same time, it's like I at the same time, I have to balance my everything that I really don't like about media and like trying to market to people and whatever. And then it's like, well, I also do want it to be. I also do like I also want like things to be seen that I make, and I don't think what I'm making is a bad thing. I hope it contributes something. If I'm going to contribute anything, I hope it's a worthwhile piece of content that I produce, and it's not something that is just like, oh, look at me on TikTok creating something that anyone. Like that doesn't really value. There's no value in there. But this also is like the idea of what value is. I don't know. Exactly. I would like to kind of hear what your ideas of like what you think like valuable like media content is, because I was talking about this with my partner, and she was like, well, there's so much. I didn't like. There is value in some of like the media or like things that like don't actually really truly like matter in a lot of sense. Like, oh, like I'm gonna compare my fashion trends to this celebrity or whatever, and like that's cool or whatever. But there's a ton of that, and I don't think it's bad. It just how much of that can we have? How much of that should we have in a society when it just gets too oversaturated, just completely voids any value? So I would like to kind of see how you think about that, and also, especially as somebody who produces something.
And also, like, people forget about that it's just a person, they're putting out their own opinions. People put like so much value in like one person's opinion, and they don't know anything what's going on in their life. So like maybe you cannot even compare your own life with that total stranger on Instagram or TikTok. And
no, totally, yeah.
So, and I mean, everybody can have a different opinion, right? I mean, especially if it comes to that whatever fashion trends. I mean, you don't need to follow everything if you don't like it. And like still you're allowed to have a different opinion, not just because like an influencer gets also probably paid by that company to say those things, right? Don't forget that. Then I don't know, or if it's like something, I don't know, even on TikTok, it's like famous for what those dance videos, right? That's how it started, didn't it?
Yeah. That's how it started.
I mean, sure, it's fun to watch and it's cool, but hey, like if you spend hours a day just looking at those dance videos, maybe spend your time elsewhere than just on your phone. Because also I feel like, I mean, a phone is, people are so addicted to that phone, you know, they just cannot put it down. And I feel like there are other ways to enjoy life, you know, like be like with real people and like be outside and be, I don't know, interact, do something, and then not just like stare on your phone and like enjoy what other people are doing. Like do it yourself too.
But at the same time, I really want to be careful, like not to come off as like this like. I think when a lot of these discussions, I get annoyed because it's like you hear people talk in a certain way that's like they think they're like some elitist, like I don't watch TikTok, I don't participate in social media, and it's like that's good, and I'm totally it's totally fine, but I just don't think it's necessarily has to be a bad thing. It's just the amount of it,
Exactly,
and like how much of,
but I mean that's
yeah.
the trick, right? It pulls you in, like especially with those videos, right? It's like, oh, another one and another one and another one, and then all of a sudden half an hour later you just realize you just could have done something else. But hold on, I had one point, of course I forgot. And also like that sometimes, so I don't have TikTok. You know, I don't have TikTok. But I do have Instagram. And
yeah.
And I mean, I use it already way too much. I mean, I use it for the podcast, and I post also on my private account, like every now and then, not a lot, not every day, not even once a week, but every here and there. But every now and then, when I get really frustrated with Instagram, I just delete my account, or I just like throw out the app from my phone. And I have to say, I feel so much better when I don't have it. But then like, and then I also like feel like, because I also read like my news there, right? So I have whatever, Washington Post, New York Times, NPR, and then a few German sources. So then I also feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on in the world anymore. Sure, I read the news, but I still feel like I'm missing out on something. Or I still like listen to news radio, sure, but still like sometimes then a month later I get the urge like, oh, maybe I should check out Instagram again. And then I have it again, and then I go back that spiral again.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's the I think it's the see, like I luckily for me, I never obviously like I feel like everyone's addicted to their phone. Like I need my phone for certain things, you know what I mean? It's like for just productivity things, like I need my email, I need my bank, I need a lot of things just to get through. Oh, the microphone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been completely off social media, and then I've been kind of on and kind of off, and then I felt like I'm more now, but it's always been like for the productivity. I've managed to separate my social presence or whatever 95% of the time to just like the productivity side of things.
Yeah.
Which I'm really I think I'm really happy about. And so whenever I'm on social media, I don't feel bad because I'm like just scrolling. I have a TikTok, but I literally don't use it. I only use it to post things, and I hate it anyways. And I probably am just gonna delete it anyways because I think it's a terrible platform. I really do, for myself at least. But it's the same sort of thing. Like Instagram has like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts or whatever. Like it's the same type of thing, and so I think it's just being more aware of like what you're actually using this for. And I feel like bad in a certain way because it's like you're still, if I'm posting things about my podcast, like it's still, I want people who are on Instagram to see it.
Sure.
But at the same time, like how am I supposed to, do I want to see everything other people are putting out there? I don't know. and I think it's like this process that I think about, because I don't necessarily think social media is that great in a lot of ways, but I also don't think it's terrible, because it can be used for a lot of things, and especially when you want to keep up with people.
The thing that bothers me, especially like on Instagram, is like you scroll in and then it's like ad, or just like those the influencer accounts, right? But sometimes I just want to see what my friends are posting, what real people are posting, the people are that I care about, and not whatever product, be here, shop this one, push that button, swipe here, So the algorithm is bothering me. That I think if it had like a different algorithm, I would appreciate it better, and it would be also better for my podcast, probably. Yeah.
Because
like I think like it will like really swallowed completely. It's like sometimes you check your Instagram and then you see something and you didn't even scroll far, and then it's like, oh, this post is from 3 days ago. So why did I not see this 2 days ago when it was new?
Yes. I saw this video, and I basically it's just what I've come to the conclusion of is I don't care about the algorithm. I'm just gonna put out content that I think is good to me personally.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put things out that I think is creatively fulfilling to me, and what I think will benefit other people if they so happen to see it. And that's all I can do. I can't try to rig everything and follow trends and do all these things. Like, because it's such terrible things.
You will be just running after trend after trend. I mean, they're so quick.
I know, they're so quick, and then you never find authenticity behind it. And I think that's one of the main things I'm trying for now. Is like, I think I got caught up, especially at the beginning of like making these episodes of like, well, what do I want my podcast to be compared to these other ones I like? And then at a certain point, I'm starting to really just be like, screw all that. I'm going to do my own thing and just make it how I think it looks good. I think, like, we're not even in a studio right now. I'm literally in a park dealing with motorcycles and
process
things.
Brings you to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But you can't do that when you're just constantly being bombarded with things and then comparing yourself to them. And I think it's dangerous.
But also, like, I mean, at some point, the market is oversaturated, and then people are just like, oh, not another one of it. So I think it's good to be different or fit in a certain niche where it's not, and also, like, it's not.
I think
just
it's necessary.
Yeah, and it's do what you like. I mean, if you just feel like you have to be after all the trends, I mean, then it's not what you really want, right? It's like, hey, if you want success, you want whatever, 1 million listeners per episode or something, but then maybe this is the wrong approach. You should just do what you like, and then hopefully you will get a lot of listeners from it. But I mean, you should enjoy it, right? Otherwise, hey, what's the point? Then it's just like another painful project.
Yeah, it's just something you like started off with like creative intentions, and you're like, I'm just doing this just because I feel like I have to do it. And I feel like that's in a lot of ways, like with podcasts especially, like there's a million podcasts out there, but a lot of people start them for the money, or because like, I don't know, if you're already successful in one area, you're like, you can be even more successful in podcasts because people already like you. And so I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, but in order to stand out anywhere doing anything, especially creatively, but in anywhere, there's no one else like you, and that's the only thing that's the only uniqueness, that's the only quality about it that you can guarantee is like your own self creativity, your own unique self, and how you see the world. Nobody can see the world from how you see it, and people will resonate with that if you foster that. And you cultivate that within inside you, like this creativity and this self within you that other people will resonate with. So as long as you're always just trying to be more yourself and come into more of your own style and more of your own ideas, because without that, you're just following the trends, you're following what other people are doing, you're trying to make it look how you think people like, even though like that's not really who you think, how you want it to look or how you view the world.
I mean, sure, but I mean, look at others just to get some inspirations, right? Because like sometimes it's like, hey, I have no idea how I want to do this. So, hey, let me see how other people are doing it. And then you do it a little bit like that, but bring your own vibe into it.
I completely agree. It's not without inspiration. I mean, I there's so many things where I've been very inspired by certain creators that I've seen and been like, oh, like how do I integrate that in something that I want to? And so it's very motivating. But at the same time, I think it's just the recognizing like I'm not trying to be them. I'm not trying to be this person. I don't want to like follow everything they're doing. I'm taking inspiration and I'm getting, I'm becoming, I'm just trying to see how I can take things from a lot of different aspects in life where I can apply that to what I think also will look cool in addition to all these other things that I think look cool. It's not, creativity and inspiration come from many sources and it's necessary, especially when starting off.
Yeah, you still want to be you, right? And so I think that's like the special thing about it, because there are already like a gazillion other big Johns,
Yeah.
So I think, and I mean also like the money, I mean if it's great if it comes like this, but I mean this should not be your sole inspirator, like because like because if you're doing it only for the money, then you will be out of it really quick, because like this usually takes a while, then you better get a different job. Get a different job where it makes you money right away.
Yes, I know exactly. Don't get into anything that you're just doing it for the money. Obviously, like there's necessary cases. Like I say, especially creatively, like specifically creatively, like I'm gonna do this because there's a lot of money in this, and it's like a creative thing that it's not like your livelihood depends on it. But if it's like
but also,
I want to get into. Sorry, go ahead.
But also, I think, especially in the creative place, you have to be lucky too. Like there has to be somebody who thinks there's lots of value in it. I mean, not talking about podcasts, but like, let's say, painters or photographers or visual arts, I think somebody has to say, hey, look at this, it's great.
Sometimes, yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like is many things. And, it's like, it's not, you're right. Like luck is, I mean, you just lucked into the life you're born into. You have no idea. Like the life you're living is just like a happenstance, circumstances you're in right now. Yeah. But like, so when I think about luck, I think about the way, like everything I'm living is just, I never like chose. I mean, I don't know, this gets into a lot of things, but like the way I see it is like personally, and the way I view it is like I never really chose to like be interested in the things I'm interested in. I just was, you know what I mean? And so like I'm trying to do the best with that how I can. And part of that is just making something for myself that I think is worthwhile. And then if I continue to do that and keep fostering it, like the opportunities hopefully will come down the road. And if they don't, whatever, it doesn't actually matter, because I'm doing it because I love to do it, and that's the core foundation of why I do it anyway. So
I mean, a lot of artists do their art on the side, right? And they have other day jobs. Like totally. Like so for example, if you go to Berlin, I don't know if it's like this now, but I lived in Berlin like before I moved to the US. So it's been a while. But it was like funny. So I was working as a waitress then, and everybody was like, "Oh, I'm a waiter, but I'm a DJ." Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm an artist, but I'm a waiter." Everybody you met was like, "Hey, at night I'm a super cool music DJ, and I play in that club and in this little small bar, and I'm trying to get a record deal." And oh, like I have a vernissage, hopefully, and I'm working on this piece. But everybody was just like working different jobs, and everybody was like trying to get their rent, But
Totally. I
like,
mean, you got to make a living. Like you
yeah,
have
you got to pay your bills somehow, right? And like you have to start. You have to. I mean, if you want to get your foot in the door, it doesn't bring you money in the beginning, right? You need to have certain experience, probably.
Totally. It's a process, and I think it's very admirable. And that people are, they're like, I gotta work to live, pay my bills, take care of family, whatever. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna let that stop me from doing what I think I really need to be doing in this life, which is this creative pursuit or this thing in my life. And I think it's really admirable that people still stick with it and still do it. And I think it's super cool that everyone's got their own thing going on. And I have my thing going on. Other people have theirs, but we're all making a living somehow. But like, obviously, like if you could become famous doing whatever or that's not even necessarily famous.
Yeah.
Like, make a living off of what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That would
be
great. Make a living out of it.
But yeah, exactly. And it takes a lot of work to do that. And I think, obviously there's luck, circumstance, whatever comes into that. But you can kind of make the opportunity, make the potential opportunity as great as you possibly can for yourself, just by doing what you love and putting it out there. And hopefully something will happen out of it. But nothing's guaranteed in life, though. The risk is
exactly.
the reward goes to those who can risk it. But
yeah, exactly.
Before this conversation ends, you have kids to take care of and other things to do. I like to end with a music recommendation from all my guests before they. If you're into, I just wanted to see if you had any good music recs and maybe one or two of like the people you're most excited about listening to right now. Any artists that you're hyped about?
I'm so not into music anymore. I don't know. I was.
You're one of those people.
Yeah, I'm one of those. But I was into music so much. I don't know. I listened to the music all the time. There was never like a minute without music in the background. Now I'm just kind of sometimes enjoy the silence. But so I went to a show for the first time in forever a few weeks ago. And it's a band from Orange County. So where you're from? So I don't know. So maybe even
shout out. Shout out to Orange County, California.
Yeah, exactly. Hometown. So it's I don't know if you know them, and I don't know if it's your kind of music, but I like rock music. So it's they're called Thrice. Do you know them?
Thrice. Haven't heard of them.
Thrice, like twice.
No, there's so many bands out of California.
Yeah, exactly. But so I went to this show, and they're a great live band. Like it sounds like, so when they play it on stage, it sounds like you're playing a record. It's amazing. It was so great, and they are just
awesome.
They just put out their 20-year anniversary album. So everybody in the crowd was knowing that record because it's like a cult record from 20 years ago. Everybody was like, hey, grown-up emos, So everybody could sing all the lyrics, and they played it from first song in the right what is it? Like in the right, I want to say the right direction. In the same
first song in the album.
So they played the same.
Oh, in the set list,
same
in the
set
playlist?
as the album. So it and it was just great. So I love that. And then so I can I like Thrice.
Okay, Thrice, right. Do you have a specific song from them, or you want to recommend the album?
I mean, the album is The Artist in the Ambulance. Kind of.
Okay. All right.
That fits to this podcast.
The Artist and the Ambulance.
It's about dying in the...
That's a good...
in the ambulance, and like not dying, actually. Be saved in the ambulance. And
awesome. Cool.
And I don't know what else, but that comes to my mind, and I had such a great time.
And
it was also the first show for me in forever.
Nice. Oh, that's good. Live music's the best. It's literally one of the great joys of life is to listen to live music, especially from bands that you love. So I'm super stoked you actually got to go see them.
Yeah.
I will look them up, especially because they're from Orange County. So
I think they're from Newport.
Newport, even better. Those bougie Newportians.
Newport? Yeah.
No, I'm not, but I hung out a lot in Newport. My buddy has his family has a house in Newport, and it's a place. But no, it's that's cool. I'm super stoked you got to go see him. I will add it to it'll be linked in the description, and it'll be good. So
yeah, because
before we leave though, do you want to?
Yeah, so I just
Go
because
ahead.
like the music I listen to is usually now the music my kids choose. So my daughter is now very new, a Swiftie. And my son always wants to listen to the Cars soundtrack, so that's the music I listen to usually.
Nice.
So I'm happy to listen to other ones, but
nice.
Yeah.
I saw Taylor Swift a few years ago.
Oh, you did?
At the Rose Bowl. Yeah, it was a big concert. So I look at Taylor Swift's my my guilty pleasure. I don't listen to her. I never put her on, but if she's in the background somewhere, wherever I am, I'm never opposed to it.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I
cool.
thought honestly I thought it would be worse because I'm not into pop music, so when I listen to it it's like, I can actually do it. I'm not like tortured right now. So I was pleasantly
I'm not into pop music either.
I was pleasantly surprised about Taylor Swift.
There you go. That's good. Cool. So do you want to shout out? Do you mind just shouting out your podcast and anything else you got going on?
Yeah.
Give it a little synopsis.
So if anybody's interested in stories from people from all over the world that move to different countries, definitely listen into my podcast. It's called Worlds Collide. And you find it wherever you find it, wherever you find your podcast. And people share their experience, how they make a new life in a new country, what they like, what they don't like. Yeah, things like that.
Cool. Wherever podcasts are sold, get it on there.
And also, I followed your advice on the YouTube thing, but I only have like 5 episodes out on YouTube so far. But I don't know, maybe more by the time this will stream.
Okay, sick. Yeah. No, that's good. I will definitely link all your stuff, and I have an episode with you, so if anybody wants to listen to that, it'll be linked below as well.
Yes, Evan was here too.
Super cool. Cool, awesome, Viktoria. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.